Okay, thank you, Ms. Russell, for joining me today. I want to go over some of the things we saw during your observation that you gave me the opportunity to sit in. It was your kindergarten reading lesson, and I know this is your first year in kindergarten. So, before I start, tell me how is your experience with, say, with the new curriculum, with, I know that you're coming from an upper grade, from first grade.
Mhm.
How do you feel your transition from first grade to kindergarten is going?
It is an adjustment because we spent a lot of time at the beginning of the year learning how to do school, and it was a
Mm,
lot of routines and procedures, and conscious discipline played a big role in that
mm-hmm,
because it was a lot of outlining expectations and things
mm-hmm,
like that. But once we got through that, it is very similar to first grade because it's a lot of the same content
mm-hmm.
because it is foundational. So it kind of they need 2 years for
Yeah. So, I saw during your lesson, I
it.
noticed that you were reviewing the elements of fiction. And during those conversations, the kids were participating, and they were saying, and they had a background knowledge on the elements. So it was something that they already knew. So I saw that the lesson was more kind of like a review of the elements of fiction, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So to begin with, I'm gonna tell you some of the things that I did notice in your classroom, and one of the things that I didn't notice was um, how evident how positively your transitions in your classroom management um, help your classroom. Would you tell me a little bit more about how that has helped your classroom?
It helps to maximize instruction time. The less time I spend giving directions for each little thing, the more time I have to instruct them, or the more time I have to let them
Mm-hmm.
go do their centers or whatever it is that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It just saves time, and like I said, it maximizes instruction time.
Okay. So you're saying that it helps with maximizing instruction time.
Hmm.
Okay. So as you reflect, well, aside from the classroom management, what else do you think worked during your lesson?
It was something that we'd talked about before, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
they understood the concept, and I think that they demonstrated that they understood the concept. Um, so it they were able to apply prior knowledge, which was the whole goal, because we are still working on like applying things that we've learned before and kind of like retelling, but not necessarily retelling a story, just kind of retelling what we've done
Okay,
before.
so then you're looking more at not only just the response, but the application of the
Yes,
skills.
yes.
So okay, okay. So like I mentioned, classroom management is evident in your classroom, and I saw that as your kids were transitioning from whole group. From when I came in, your kids were working on a warm up, and then you started calling them back tables, so they had that expectation of moving from one area of the classroom to your whole group, and then while you were doing your whole group your to your small group, and the kids were going to stations, and we saw that that there wasn't a lot of teacher direction. There was stuff
Mm-hmm.
that they were able to do that. Why do you think that has been helpful in your classroom? Besides, because you said maximizing the time, but
Mm-hmm.
what kind of what is it that you think is what allows for you to have those smooth transitions?
I've very explicitly outlined my expectations from the get go. It took a lot more time at the beginning, front loading directions
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that. But once they got it, and now they're able to kind of do it more independently. It was really difficult at the beginning teaching new procedures and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that, but because I enforced it so strongly and spent so much time on it, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're able to apply it without me hovering.
Okay, and think so. It's all about the expectations, and it's like what,
Yeah.
like you said. This is setting the expectations,
Hmm.
and that's one of the most fundamentals. Because without your expectations and your classroom management, you can't get a lot of the instruction.
Exactly.
So, so as we see that classroom management and transitions is an area of reinforcement, meaning that it's something that you are feel comfortable with.
Mhm.
Is there still something in that area that maybe you would want to work on a little bit more or tweak a little bit?
Um, I think it's more with like classroom management that's I need to work on. The expectations are outlined. They're there. They know them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still working on a reinforcement system or a refinement system for when they don't follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm still figuring out what works with this group,
Mm-hmm.
like what motivates them to do what they're supposed to do. Um, and like each group is different, and so I'm still just figuring out what works with this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And you're right. And yes, you're right. Sometimes you do have to, even you have your expectations and they follow the routines, but sometimes you still need that extra
Mhm.
push to motivate. But that comes, with your experience, and it
Mhm.
comes with getting to know the students better, to know exactly what works for one, what works for every student individually, and that comes with the knowledge you build as you interact and you build those relationships with
Mhm.
your students. Okay, so now let's turn the page a little bit. Let's now look at your lesson,
Mhm.
and because like I said, your classroom management transition, um, it's a strong point in what I saw in the observation. Now, if you look at your lesson, what is something that you think, what, maybe I didn't like nail that, or maybe this needs a little improvement, or is it something that you think, what, maybe I need to work on that?
I think probably their check for understanding.
Okay.
Because I had them do the anchor chart where a few of them came up and put the post-it on the anchor chart
Mm-hmm.
where they drew or they wrote their response to the question.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. It checked the understanding of a few of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I still need something that will help me check the understanding of all of them.
Like a general assessment,
Yeah.
not like a general short formative assessment. I think.
Yeah.
So how to check for understanding, right?
Right.
Good. So you want something you want to work is a check for understanding. Notice is that when we're going introducing a lesson, it's kind of helpful for the students to have like an anchor of what is going to be shown. Is what they what's called anchoring a lesson and setting the objective.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that you're comfortable with that, or is it something that you still want to work with, or you feel that what I think
I understand it, and it is something that I want to do, but I don't always do the best job at it. So that is something that I do want to improve on.
Okay. So yeah, and in stating today, boys and girls, our objective is to look at the elements, and it was clear by your lesson that you were going over the elements, but it's kind of part of our district, what's it called, our procedures for a lesson or whatever, is to present those objectives beforehand, and then during the lesson go over them, and then at the end say, okay, this is what we've learned. So I think that is something that I did feel that maybe you needed to do a little bit more of.
Yeah.
But however, when you went to your guided reading, you did do that. You were like, okay, guys, we're going to review our elements of fiction, and we're going to go over this reading strategy, which I believe was it Fishy Lips, or what is it called? When you prepare your initial US.
Yes, Lips the Fish.
Lips the Fish. So you did have that. So you're right. Like I didn't see it in whole group, but I did see it in small group. So back to your whole group. So something you want to work on, or kind of maybe tweak a little bit, is you're checking for understanding for the general, and also maybe incorporating more of that, stating the SC at the beginning of the lesson. Okay. Is there anything else that you think, what, maybe I need to maybe, is there anything else you think will help you enhance the lesson a little bit more?
I think it's a lot of just establishing my procedures and repetition and doing it over and over again. And getting the kids acclimated to doing it over and over again. My goal is to get it to the point where if I don't like state the SE, they'll be able to tell me, like, Miss Russell, what are we doing? You know, like they'll call me on it, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I want to shift towards.
Yeah.
So it's just refining those things that we talked about.
Exactly. And you know what? Some things that I would recommend for that, and it's something that I had when, like, I've had trouble with, like what we call anchoring the lesson and setting the SE. 3 years ago, when I was noticing that I wasn't doing that enough, so I did my research and I focused. I made sure I created a focus wall, and in the focus wall, I have everything I'm covering during the day, or during that whole week, and seeing it on with more visual anchor posters and all that, it constantly let me remember to go over it, and then eventually it becomes part of your routine, and it becomes part of your of your everyday classroom environment. So maybe that's something you could maybe look into. Maybe add more detail to my focus wall, or add more information to my focus wall.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you think or anything you maybe want to help in, or?
No, this has been really helpful. Because I know what direction to head in now. It's always, you think about what you're doing and you think like, okay, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you need a set of fresh eyes to help you kind of understand what exactly it is that you need help with, or what it is that you're doing well, because there might be something that you think like, man, I'm terrible with this. But then... And
you know what? And from my experience in kindergarten, the hard part was the classroom management and the transitions, because it takes a long time. So once you get that out of the way, then you can really focus on how can I make my lessons work and make sure that the students are understanding and that they're using what and they're applying what they're learning.
Yeah.
So, right. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun coming to your classroom. I miss teaching the little ones. It's been a while. So
it's an adventure. Every day is something new.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.